Viewer warning. The following video contains content that some may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is strongly advised.
It's just past midnight. The sky is still bruised with the shades of purple and grey. Otherwise, everything else is pitch black. A Filipino farmer, Francis, is trudging through his field. Another sleepless night due to harvest issues troubling him relentlessly. Meanwhile, the air is crisp, and the familiar scent of grass gives Francis some sort of calm. And then he sees it. A pair of legs. No torso, no blood, just a woman's lower half standing upright in the middle of his field like it had grown there. Her skirt is torn, soaked with dew. The skin is pale, almost bluish. Her feet are bare, caked with mud. Francis freezes because he knows what this is. Everyone in Samar does. So what does he do? He goes back to his hut and grabs a handful of salt. Not garlic, not holy water, just salt. And he sprinkles it on the torso. Not aggressively, just enough. And then he hears it. A scream. Not nearby, not in the field, but far off, high up. The scream fades into the clouds, and Francis stands there, heart pounding in a rice field that now feels cursed. He never saw the creature again, but he never found that patch of land either. Now, for the unfamiliar, the Manananggal is one of the most terrifying creatures in Filipino folklore. And I don't say that lightly. This isn't your garden variety vampire ghost. No, this thing splits in half, like literally detaches at the waist. By day, she's said to be a beautiful woman, charming, elegant, but something about her just made anyone feel uneasy. No one could quite put their finger on it. In some variations, she is an old woman. Kind but odd. Children are naturally drawn to her for some unknown reason. But by night, she becomes something else entirely. The transformation begins with a ritual. In some versions, she rubs a special oil on her belly. It's said to be made from boiled herbs and animal fat, passed down through generations. In others, she swallows a cursed magical black pebble. Either way, once the process starts, her upper body rips away from the lower half. Just a clean, supernatural separation. Yet in other versions, a black chick is said to live inside the Manananggal's stomach, passed down through ingestion. Killing the chick is the only way to break the curse, but it's nearly impossible. And then, her torso sprouts massive bat-like wings, not cute little flappers. These are leathery, veined, and powerful enough to lift her into the night sky. She flies up, leaving her legs behind in the middle of a field. Now here's where things get extra disturbing. The Manananggal doesn't just fly around for fun. She hunts. Specifically, she targets pregnant women. And she doesn't knock politely. She uses her tongue, a long, thin, needle-like appendage that can stretch for meters. It's sharp, it's strong, and it's designed to pierce through thatched roofs made of hay or bamboo. Once inside, she uses that tongue to puncture the womb of her sleeping victim and feed on the unborn child. Yeah, that's the legend. That's what people in the provinces whisper about when the wind howls and the dogs won't stop barking. And here's the kicker. The only way to stop her is to find the lower half, the legs she left behind, and sprinkle salt, ashes, or garlic on the exposed flesh. If you do that, she can't reattach. She's stuck, vulnerable. And when the sun rises, she dies. So, there's this story upon the provincias. One of those tales that gets passed around in hushed tones. Usually after dark. Usually when someone's already a little spooked. It's about a woman, pregnant, living in a quiet barangay surrounded by rice fields and thick trees. The kind of place where the nights are so still you can hear a mosquito land. Now for weeks, leading up to her due date, she kept telling people she felt watched. Not in the paranoid sense, I mean really watched. Like something was outside her window. Every night, same time, just standing there. Or hovering, she couldn't tell. And here's where it gets weird. The midwife who was assigned to help her deliver, rumored to be a Manananggal. People said she was too quiet, too pale, that she never walked. She glided. You know, classic red flags. The birth happens. It's difficult, long, painful. But the baby comes out alive. Everyone breathes a sigh of relief. Until they notice the strange marks on the baby's belly. That night, the mother wakes up to sounds coming from the roof, flapping and scratching. She nudges her husband. Do you hear that? He just grumbles and rolls over, says it's probably a cat or a bird. He should have known better. But she did and knew what she heard. By morning, the baby is dead. No blood, no wounds, just pale, empty, like something had drained it from the inside out. And the roof? When they checked it, they found deep claw marks. Like something had landed there, something heavy, something winged. As for the midwife, no one ever saw her again. No one ever saw her leave town. The earliest whispers of this being trace back to the pre-colonial era when animistic beliefs dominated the islands. Spirits were thought to inhabit trees, rivers, and even the wind. In this spiritual landscape, shape-shifting entities were not uncommon. The Manananggal, or something like it, may have emerged from these beliefs, an embodiment of fear, transformation, and the unknown. The name itself comes from the Tagalog word tanggal, meaning to remove or to separate. It's a fitting description for a creature whose defining trait is detachment, both physical and symbolic. The first written account of a similar entity appears in 1589 in the writings of Spanish friar Juan de Plasencia. He described the being called the Magtaanggal, a headless figure that roamed at night carrying its own head. Though not identical to the Manananggal, the resemblance is striking. The Spanish, unfamiliar with local beliefs, often interpreted these stories as manifestations of the devil. In 1703, another friar, Domingo de los Santos, documented a witch-like creature capable of flight whose body could disengage. He noted the term Tangal, reinforcing the linguistic and cultural roots of the legend. Over time, the Manananggal evolved, absorbing elements from colonial fears, indigenous spirituality, and oral storytelling. It became more than a monster. It became a symbol, a warning, a reflection of vulnerability in a time of upheaval. During World War II, stories of Manananggal sightings surged. Some speculate that the chaos of war, combined with the isolation of rural communities, reignited old fears. Others suggest that foreign soldiers, unfamiliar with local customs, may have misinterpreted nocturnal wildlife or guerrilla tactics as supernatural events. There is no formal record of psychological operations involving the Manananggal, but the parallels to Vietnam's Wandering Soul broadcasts are difficult to ignore. Today, the Manananggal remains a fixture in Filipino horror, but its roots run deeper than cinema or campfire tales. It is a creature born of history, myth, and the quiet terror of the night. In the 1950s, in the capital of Negros Occidental, a woman named Trinidad was pregnant with her final child. She and her husband were poor, but they owned a small apartment, a rare comfort in those days. It wasn't much, but it was theirs. Recently, they'd rented out a room to an elderly woman. She was quiet, kept to herself and paid in cash. But the neighbors weren't pleased. They whispered that she was an aswang, a shape-shifting creature from Filipino folklore known to prey on the vulnerable, a Manananggal variant. They claim she came from a distant town where children had gone missing. Trinidad did not believe the rumors. She was practical, tired, focused on her pregnancy. She burned incense regularly, an old habit meant to cleanse the air and calm her nerves. But one day, the old woman became enraged. She said the smell was unbearable, that it made her sick. Her reaction was disproportionate, violent. In Trinidad, for the first time, that something shifted. That night, she had a dream. In it, she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. From the rafters above, a thin string began to descend, slowly, silently. It drifted down toward her belly, as if pulled by something unseen. She couldn't move, couldn't speak, just watched as the string hovered inches above her skin. Then she woke up. There was nothing there, no string, no sound. By morning, the old woman was gone. She hadn't packed, no goodbyes. Her room was empty, the sheets still warm. Trinidad gave birth weeks later.